Hello, all you creepy crawlers out there, and welcome to another episode of the Blowing Smoke podcast with Kimiko, Kusanagi. So today we are going to talk about ghost stories. So light up and listen in. Recently, within the past couple of days, I decided, I was going to catch up with some ghost stories, some shows. I watched The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, Ghost Story, Crimson Peak, and The Changeling. And to me, these are all really good ghost stories. And I think we need a lot more of that. But we're going to focus specifically today on Ghost Story, which I think was, 1984? It's got Fred Astaire in it. And Alice Krige. Now, basic summary, or at least what I think this movie's about, is revenge for erectile dysfunction. Let me repeat that again. Revenge for erectile dysfunction. So, watching this movie, it starts out with dude seeing a lady in his bed, and he's like, who are you, blah, 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 and then turns out that it's a ghost, and he goes flying through a fucking window, and then you find out that, dad calls the brother, tells him that his brother's dead, and then the brother confesses to the dad that he slept with his fiance, and then goes into this whole story of how he met this woman who was secretary at the school that he was working for. Major love affair, and then she just disappeared. Well, he goes home for the funeral, tells his dad this stuff, and then his dad also happens to have his own issues, and he's part of this thing called the Chowder Society, where it's a group of old men that meet up and tell ghost stories to each other, scare each other. Well, turns out that that same group of men also kind of did a horrible thing by accidentally killing this woman. But here's the thing. Why I say it's revenge for erectile dysfunction is because she originally has a thing for Ned. Her and Ned, are flirting, and then they go to do some stuff later, and he can't get it up. But she's like, hey, you want to try again? And he's not even into it. Like, kind of makes me wonder, hey, maybe Ned's not into girls, but whatever. And he goes and tells his buddies that he did do it with the girl, Ava, and then they all go over to her house for some fucking reason, because they're drunk as skunks. They start dancing with her, and then, party's starting to get really late. Ned's like, no, we should leave and go home. And one of the guys like, nah, dude, I want my dance still. And she basically figures out that Ned done said something that wasn't true. And for that, he pushes Ava. She ends up striking her head, passes out. They think she's dead. They put her in the car and go throw her ass into a fucking lake. So that's, now it's revenge at that point. Like, because you had erectile dysfunction and then decided to lie about it and say that we did some shit, but we didn't do shit. Yeah, revenge is coming. So she torments and haunts Ned's two sons, Ned, Ricky, the whole 9 yards. Full on haunting ghost story. And the only way she stopped is basically they have to drag that fucking car out of the lake and open the door and set her ass out. Free. And she stops haunting. Great ghost story. Kind of like the whole, Crimson Peak and its ghosts. It's a great ghost story too. Most really great ghost stories have some type of tragedy or turmoil that happens that's extremely tragic and keeps the spirit of that person there to enact some type of revenge and haunting torture. It's usually a love story at some point that goes with it, like those two movies. Not so much with The Changeling. There's not really a love story in that aspect, but it is a family story because, guy had a kid who was kind of incapacitated in a wheelchair, couldn't use his legs, and because of that, he fucking drowned him and then replaced him with another kid. So there's a tragedy and turmoil and fucking shit right there. Still a great story. You don't need a love story in that one. But it's still a really good ghost story. Haunting of Hill House. It depends on which one you watch. If you watch the original, or if you read the book about the original, it's a different story than like Mike Flanagan's. Mike Flanagan took it and changed it and modernized it and made it really good. I like that it turned For Random Strangers into an actual family. Haunting of Bly was based off The Turn of the Screw. Another great ghost story. Yeah, there's love aspects in it too, and major tragedies. So, honestly, for leading up to spooky season here and Halloween, stuff like that, I would definitely probably take some time, go watch some classic ghost stories in movies. They're really good, very classic. I'm thinking probably leading up still, like I just finished. I'm probably gonna do Follow the House of Usher again, and I might try Midnight Mass. I've tried watching that once before, but I only made it like 2 episodes in, and then I kind of gave up on it. There's apparently no American Horror Story this year, but there's enough seasons, obviously, that if I wanted to revisit the American Horror Story series, I could do that. But we also have other really good stuff coming out in the near future. On the 27th, Apartment 7A is going to be hitting Paramount, and that's the prequel movie to Rosemary's Baby, which is another favorite of mine. It's not really a ghost story, but it's still good, and I do enjoy that. And I am very excited to check out Apartment 7A. And we have other stuff coming out. I guess Fred's supposed to be coming out soon, and we have the Camp Crystal Lake thing coming out sometime soon, and Welcome to Derry. There's a lot of good spooky stuff coming in the near future. It's going to be a good Halloween season. But as I digress into ghost stories once again, what do you really think that makes a really good ghost story? Not just like, oh, well, we're sitting around the campfire and we're telling ghost stories, made up ones, or even ones that are not made up that maybe are urban legend or could possibly be true. But what makes them good? Is it the revenge? Is it the tragic love story? Is it, the fucked up family? What is it that brings us closer to our human side with ghost stories? I personally think that, yes, we can all relate to certain aspects of it, but, with the empathy and everything like that too, you can empathize with a child, you can empathize with one of the main characters, but it reminds you that not everything in life is pretty and butterflies and rainbows and unicorns and stuff, that there is the tragic side to life, and it happens all the time. It reminds us of our own mortality. It reminds us of the people around us. It reminds us to be kind. Because we don't know when we're going to go. And we want to leave something. We want to make sure that we touch the lives of others in the right way and not leave a tragic ghost story behind of ourselves. That's why I think we really relate to it. Now, I'm going to go do some commercial breaks here, and we'll be back. Okay, now we're back. So, it's funny when you think about it, because I watch a lot of paranormal stuff that's like on YouTube and stuff like that, like Nuke's Top 5, and Dearly Departed, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Chills. When you're watching those, they're kind of like short ghost stories, but for the most part, you really don't. There's no background information. You know, you're just seeing some type of poltergeist or paranormal experience that someone's having in that particular time frame of their life. And, you know, those are good. But I really do enjoy the actual ghost stories. Something that's a little more substantial, that gives me a background overview of what possible ghost could be doing this haunting or poltergeist activity or something like that. Why is this paranormal experience happening, and what it could possibly be? What tragic event or death happened on this property, or was owned by like an object owned by somebody who passed, or was in the vicinity of a major tragic event that is causing these things to happen. Like, I kind of miss the celebrity paranormal ghost shows where, you know, celebrities come forth and talk about their ghost stories and things that have happened to them. I do like the documentary style ones where there's, you know, they go to a property that's been supposedly haunted, and then they start doing their research, and then you find all these things out, and there's photographs and stuff to tie into it. Also, you know, like the whole Titanic thing. Like, obviously, they brought up the artifacts, and then they have all this documentation, and then obviously the major tragedy of the Titanic sinking causes, you know, this paranormal activity to happen around these objects and stuff like that. Like, ghost stories and history literally go hand in hand. Like, if you're a history buff, you gotta love ghost stories because there's history involved in it. With a really good ghost story, there's always some type of history, mythology, lore, something. And it just pulls you in and makes that story like 10 times fucking better. And I don't think we have enough of that nowadays. I don't think that we take the time to have these, like, come up with these ghost stories, regardless if it's a modernized version of it. But we need more lore, more ghost stories about our past to hand over to our future generations. Could you really imagine, like, sitting around, like, your grandkids or great grandkids sitting around and talking about what you did, or what happened with you, a major tragedy or an event, and telling a ghost story about you? It's just another way to live on and be remembered, and it's wonderful. And I think we need more of that. Definitely need more ghost stories from Stephen King as well. Like, he's good with ghost stories. Even if they're not really real, they're not based on anything real, they're still really, really good. And he gets the aspect of creating a atmosphere and that tense situation that sticks with you and lives on just like a ghost story would. Well, that's it for me. Life lesson today is basically try to have one really good story to pass down. Whether it's funny, spooky, tragic, have one really good story to pass on. And that's it for me. You stay creepy like Kimiko Kusanagi, and I will see you for the next episode. All right? Bye!